Can you explain to us why fasting is part of Ramadan?
It's one of the five pillars. It's more to do with charity because at the end of Ramadan, when you're done fasting after 29 or 30 days, you're supposed to give to charity. So generally, a lot of folks will donate money and funds towards. There's one right there, towards the end of Ramadan. So that's the reasoning behind it. Being aware of the folks who are less fortunate to help them out.
It sort of reminds you that there are people who might not be eating, but not by choice.
Right, exactly. That's the main premise behind it, yes. Chris and John, who I work with, we were watching as the towers were hit, and we were hearing all kinds of rumors. The Pentagon had been hit. My wife actually hadn't gone to work just yet, and she could see the smoke coming up. So I had communicated with her, and we were hearing all kinds of rumors that this is going to get hit, this is going to get hit. So Chris, John, and I came to my apartment because it was walking distance. So we walked to my apartment because they all lived in other parts of Virginia and they weren't sure how to...
So you lived in D.C. at the time?
I lived in D.C. at the time. Mm-hmm. Those individuals, those white Caucasian males, will always have that in their memory, that part of when our country was being attacked, they were with their Muslim friend. But after they left, my wife and I had a conversation, and I'm like, hon, I don't know when or where, but I know I'm going somewhere because we have to respond to this, and I know that our country will respond to this. I didn't know that we were going to go to Iraq. I was, like many, was thinking of Afghanistan initially as well. I had requested an assignment there. I actually served in Iraq. I was one of the first Marines to enter Iraq. And I frankly had a chip on my shoulder too as a Muslim American that I had been serving for 5 years in the military, had 3 more years left in my second contract, and I really started to work even harder in the Marines to really train myself to wherever I was going to get deployed to.
Do you have a language skill that...
I speak Urdu. That's why I requested that maybe it could have been utilized if I was in Afghanistan in some instances. In Iraq, it was completely useless.
I see.
Because I don't speak Arabic at all.
I mean, it was a terrifying day for every American. Perhaps more terrifying for Muslim Americans. Do you remember the first time that you thought that you might be in danger, your family?
I'll be honest with you, I was not as fearful in 2001 because, and that's why folks don't realize that the potential leader of a country or leader of a country has a profound impact. And President Bush right away went with some of the Muslim leadership in a press conference and said, very positive things about the Muslim American community and that there should be no retaliation. And I think that the American people did listen to that, and
I mean, there still was.
There still was, but, I didn't feel as fearful then. I feel more fearful for Muslim Americans now because of what Donald Trump is saying. Because an average Joe who's sitting there who's frustrated at home, if he sees a presumptive nominee, like somebody who can be a president, saying that,
yeah,
then that person justify their actions. They're like, well, this person is saying that, then maybe what I'm thinking is right as well. And unfortunately, after President Obama got elected, I did see a rise in more Confederate flags on the streets and on pickup trucks, people displaying flags and bumper stickers of such. Our neighbors up here, they did take it down. My son goes to school with them, so I'm appreciative of at least that they took theirs down. I don't know what their reasoning was.
Was it about the time of the Charleston massacre?
I believe it could have been. I'm not sure. It was definitely after the Charleston massacre, but I don't know if it's related to that event. I do feel that the Muslim American community is a big punching bag in the United States right now, like the Latino community is. And Donald Trump has just really, exponentially amplified that rhetoric. And he is speaking for millions of Americans. But I'm very optimistic that we'll get through these tough times because there's millions of Muslim Americans who do a lot of great things. I've served in the military, I'm a teacher, but there's a lot of Muslim Americans who are in the medical field that provide services.
Yeah.
I do see that, the folks who know me who are, Republican background and so forth, how their mindset has changed. Folks I work with and people we become friends with because they know us, because they see us as normal human beings who go to the soccer games for our kids or the football games, and we're part of the PTSO, or they see me as a teacher, and they normalize that. And I really do have faith in the American people that people in general are good, and once they get to know you, that everything will be all right.
I think the reason why I was given this assignment It has to do with a topic that we haven't addressed yet, which was the Orlando shooting.
Okay.
I think people might be surprised if it's not in the video. Now, I mean, September 11th is very much related.
Right.
But, as you said, Orlando takes place in the context of having this anti-Muslim demagogue.
Mm.
And, you know, ISIS, using the tactics that the Ku Klux Klan used here for a long time, even though people like Glenn Beck write the history of terrorism and skip that.
Right.
That's scary. Using the human body as an expression of your political malevolence and your determination to achieve the goals that you have. It's horrifying. Okay? So this time, when you heard shooter, name sounds, could be Muslim, what went through your mind?
I had woken up on Sunday because I watched the news, Meet the Press and stuff in the mornings, and I started watching the thing on television. And when I saw there was an imam speaking, I was contemplating, God hope that it's not a Muslim. Every time there is a shooting in our country since September 11th. Well, first, yes, you pray for the victims and you feel sorry, but I'll be honest with you, every time there is a shooting, I hope and pray that it's not a Muslim person or person with a Muslim name or whatever. It'll be even worse.
Because it plays into the political winds.
Exactly. So that's what I hope. Then I saw the imam speaking, and I'm like, why is he speaking? Because the FBI had not clarified who the shooter was. Mm-hmm. But then a little bit later, of course, when they released the name, and it's a kind of a double whammy as Americans, and as an American, I feel under attack by terrorists, but also as a Muslim American, you know, get more and more. It's a very suffocating feeling that you feel that it's going to make the situation much worse for Muslim Americans, because I know that there's somebody out there who, it could be a Muslim lady in a getting groceries, and she might get assaulted or something if there's somebody who's angry and fearful, or a mosque might get vandalized. We've actually had some vandalized activities in Manassas at the different mosques. Muslims are already under attack, not only as Americans, but their religion has been hijacked by these crazies, and it's like a virus, and you know, we're trying to figure out a solution to it. And I think that Americans who can really counter that are Americans like myself. You know, I want to counter that. I wish I was a fighting age, I was a little bit younger, that I could go battle ISIS. I encourage my Muslim American and friends who are, some of them are younger and still joining the military and so forth, that go battle ISIS. But battle is not necessarily in the military, is that really being vocal about it. And there is this perception that, well, Muslims aren't, they're not coming out and openly saying stuff. Muslims are. I think that to counter that toxic message from ISIS is to put Muslim Americans at the forefront and let them battle this, you know, in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah.
And then going back to Donald Trump, you know, he's done a lot of damage, which I think whether he wins or not, I think the things he said in the last year, I think it's going to have impacts for years to come.
Well, you spoke of a virus. I mean, aren't there basically two heads to this snake?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, I hate to compare him to ISIS.
Right.
But I think you have to openly speak out against Trump, and of course a lot of Republicans are doing that too, because, you know, they're...
in a sense, they're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? So they see a white, older man
right.
with the R under his name,
yeah.
creating racial and cultural and religious division.
Right.
And these guys like Paul Ryan
yeah.
or Mitt Romney are coming forward and saying, no, don't let that speak for me. In a sense, you're on the same side, trying to make sure that those chasms don't deepen and widen.
Right, exactly.
Can you recall the words when they finally came out and said, the reason we're uncomfortable with you representing the Democratic Party on the ticket is your faith?
Yeah, it was for the Senate race. And let me put it in context for you, because the Medicaid expansion is a big issue in Virginia.